All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. This is Blockbusters and Bootlegs, Episode 2. This week we're covering the Jacket, 2005, and Tusk, 2014. I'm Ryan Clary.
I'm Matt Sims.
All right, so let's get going. What are you watching this week?
Not any new shows. I know Paige got done with Riverdale. She switched over to Vampire Diaries.
Oh my God. That was the HBO show, though, right?
I don't know. I think
Diaries?
it's on Netflix now is what she's been watching it on.
Because I think Cole watched that.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, she said it was books. It was a series of books before they made the show. She read them. But I've been paying a lot less attention to that one than I was Riverdale.
That's not the one that I was thinking. Oh, yeah, this is on the CW. Gross. So the budget's like $35 for this show?
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure.
It's not something I'm gonna watch.
You're not into it? There's 9 seasons, though.
Not into it. Not into it.
I mean, it looks like it's a Supernatural-esque show.
No.
No?
No, not. Mm-mm.
So Paige is watching Vampire Diaries, you're just kind of stuck watching it too?
Well, I said I haven't really been paying any attention to it. I don't know. I haven't picked up on any new shows this week. We watched Jumanji, the new one.
Oh, God. How was that?
It was really corny.
I'm sure it was.
It's definitely not a kid's movie, though. There was cussing and stuff in it.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know that I could really give that a shot just because the original was like... I went and saw the original in movie theaters when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. So I don't know that I could watch the new one and not have Robin Williams in it.
Yeah, that was weird. Plus, it felt like they changed up the storyline a little bit. They tried to make it more... It's a video game this time instead of the board game, which, like, me and my sister had the board game and stuff. Oh, we loved that movie. I don't know. It was really corny humor.
Well, yeah, anything Jack Black is in...
Yeah.
In the last 10 years was terrible. Did you see Goosebumps?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that.
But, yeah. I couldn't get into it. It's not for me.
No, I mean, The Rock and... what's his name? The comedian.
Kevin Hart.
They're like a pretty good duo comedy. They make some pretty funny comedy, but like I said, this one was just really cheesy, corny humor.
So is it just it's the three of them, right? It's Jack Black, The Rock, or is there four?
There's another chick I don't know her name.
Yeah, she's a younger gal.
Mm-hmm. I've seen her in something before, but I couldn't think of what it was.
For some reason, I thought there was 4 characters, but is there just 3?
No, there's 4.
Is the other
and then they added that. See, yeah, and then they added a legitimate villain in this movie.
Isn't Zac Efron in this?
No, it's one of the Jonas Brothers.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason I thought Zac Efron was in this one too.
Yeah,
which buds.
I don't know. I guess it was almost like they replaced the hunter in the original one with like a different villain this time.
So you know the gun the hunter's using in the original one?
Yeah.
It's like it's this crazy looking. It's supposed to be a rifle, and it's got like all these attachments on it, like a big scope and this huge drum magazine and everything. So I looked that up a long time ago because I was like, what is that gun?
Yeah.
It's not a rifle at all. It was a USAS 12-gauge shotgun, like semi-automatic shotgun. But they just took
out in the jungle with that?
Yeah, they took it and tried to be like, oh, this is a hunting rifle. It's not a rifle at all.
Oh, I feel like that was a terrible choice of weapon for him to go into the jungle with.
Well, yeah, I mean...
A 12-gauge, I guess you could use slugs. But...
Well, he's shooting at him in a building, too. Like, inside, with a 12-gauge shotgun. I was like, everybody's dead. That movie was over in 27 minutes.
Yeah.
If they would have gone off of what it was supposed to be. Okay, so Jumanji.
Definitely didn't top the original. I guess, coming from our generation, though, I mean, that was, like, one of the good movies when we were kids.
Do you recommend it?
No.
No, not at
I
all.
wouldn't.
So out of 10, what would you give it?
4.
So you're like scraping the toilet bowl with this thing.
No.
This shit sucked.
4 is like kind of shitty. Wouldn't really recommend it.
4 is like you
get
would
down to
rent
like
it from
3, 2,
Redbox?
1. Maybe. If there wasn't anything else like new out that you wanted to see, it was like, yeah, maybe a possibility. Like, all right, I guess we could watch this.
I would just opt to like go for a walk.
Yeah, that'd probably be a better choice. It'd be more entertaining.
So that's it? That's all you watch the entire week?
Well, we've been watching, on and off, we've been watching this show on Amazon. It's a BuzzFeed show.
Yeah.
That they do. It's these two guys. One of them's like a big-time skeptic, and the other one like believes in all ghosts and stuff is what they're doing. It's pretty funny.
So ghost hunters?
Not really, because there's a few other things that I can't remember off the top of my head what else that they're doing.
Is it a fiction show or nonfiction?
No,
like
it's
supposed to be like
nonfiction.
a documentary.
Yeah, it's like these
Oh
two
my
guys.
God.
Yeah, it's almost like, I guess you could almost relate it to like a podcast, but on a video.
Why do they keep
Like, that's
making
what
these
they do.
fucking goofball shows where they're chasing ghosts and werebeasts?
I don't know,
And,
but it's kind of funny. Like the guys are really funny that do it.
I mean, it's not going to beat Ghost Adventures guy, the fucking bro daddy.
Oh man, that's a good show right
yeah,
there.
I mean that guy. There was something wrong with him.
Was it Zach? That's what his name is.
I don't know his name. I just knew that he always wore True Religion jeans and flexed anytime he was on camera.
His affliction shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had his hair like spiked on the sides and slicked, like spiked but backward on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that show was terrible.
Yeah, it's
It wasn't even remotely convincing that there were ghosts.
it's entertaining.
Is it?
It is almost entertaining because of how bad it is.
I think you and I have different definitions of entertaining.
Probably.
Because I could barely get... The only episode of that show that I thought was funny was when he was in the lighthouse and they had the little device that supposedly ghosts could talk through.
Oh, are you talking about the one that drink mercury?
Yeah.
That one? Yeah,
Except
that was hilarious.
He couldn't pronounce mercury.
Drink mercury.
He kept saying mercury.
Mercury. Yeah, that's what he was saying.
I was like, is this
hilarious?
Is this a new word to you?
I think it was. I don't think he knew what was going on.
I wouldn't be surprised. The guy had the intellect of a 4th grader, so...
Yeah, that shows. Like I said, it's to the point where it's bad enough that it's funny.
Yeah.
That's why it's entertaining.
But I don't know. Like, there's that other ghost show with the 2 guys that work for Roto-Rooter, which is kind of funny because it's like you got a cross-promotional thing going with A&E and Roto-Rooter.
We'll come unclog your toilet and make sure your house isn't haunted at the same time.
We're going to clear your pipes out of shit demons.
Shit demons.
Like, that horrible shit you took last week is no longer going to haunt you.
Yeah.
Dead serious. We're going to clean that sucker out. So,
plus they went that show was funny because they had that spin-off where they were doing a lot of shit in Scotland.
Yeah.
And like
internationals or whatever.
Yeah, the Ghost Hunters International. It was hilarious because I saw a lot of people commenting on stuff about it on like the internet saying like you're talking to this ancient Celtic ghost and you think it can understand you in English, and then they get replies in English and they're like, oh my god, the ghost is talking to us.
Cross-dimensional language barriers don't exist.
Right, I guess in the ghost realm language is not a...
Now that guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the same guy from Pawn Stars.
Which guy?
From that ghost show. Bald head.
Oh, the
really
main guy.
shitty facial hair.
Maybe it is.
Like dead serious. He's the same guy. Absolutely.
I can you should pull up a side by side.
Well, let me see if I can.
See if we can see it.
I don't remember the exact name of that show.
Which it's Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Hunters?
Yeah.
Fucking spell here, Jesus. Let's see.
totally looks like the
Oh
top
my God.
one is that there's a serious comparison. That's hilarious.
That's the same fucking guy.
It looks like the same guy. The top search said, go back and look at that. The very first one, Ghost Hunters Jason totally looks like Pawn Stars Rick. We're not the first people to think this.
No. Okay. So that guy,
There's a little bit of difference.
plastic surgery could have done that.
His eyes were, the guy on Pawn Stars, his eyes were a little farther apart, I think.
So he's just like doing a cross-promotional thing. He's just trying to stay in the public eye.
Yeah. He's a plumber, he owns a pawn shop, and he's a ghost hunter.
He's like Nicolas Cage. He refuses to quit working, even though nobody's watching his fucking terrible movies anymore.
Yeah.
I never watched him in the first place.
Mom and Dad.
I'm not watching that shit.
Dude, we have
No,
to.
it looks terrible.
Oh, it looks hilarious.
No, it doesn't. It looks so corny.
That's why it looks like it's funny, because it looks like it's so bad.
I can't watch. The kids are going to fuck the whole thing up for me. I can't watch those kids running around being terrible actors, because you know those kids are going to be 90% of the movie. And then
yeah, probably.
I can't do it. I might as well go watch Nanny McPhee or some shit.
But it's a Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah. Which tells me that it's just already going to suck.
You didn't like National Treasure?
No. Did you see Ghost Rider?
That was a bad movie. Yeah, that
All
was
right.
not entertaining at
So,
all.
The Rock with Sean Connery. Did you see that?
I didn't see that one.
What?
I've never seen that
It was
one.
like a 1997 masterpiece.
I
That was like the epitome of action movies in the 90s.
I'm sure my dad's seen it.
Oh, I guarantee your dad has seen it. I guarantee it. Well, anyway, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. The only movies of Nicolas Cage's that I can sit down and watch and not just be like, ugh, was Raising Arizona. Just because it's kind of a cult classic. And it's a really weird movie. It's from the late 80s, early 90s. And that Joe movie that he put out.
I don't think I've seen either of those movies.
The Joe movie came out in...
Oh, man. Look at that. Look at those
2012?
sideburns.
Yeah, so Raising Arizona, 1987. It's got a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 91.
91%.
And then look at Roger Ebert's fucking asshole self, gave it a 1.5. That guy's like the biggest dickhead critic in the world.
I don't know, dude. After Rotten Tomatoes gave It Follows like a fucking 95%, and then we went and saw it in theaters, I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes anymore.
People loved that movie.
That movie was terrible.
Okay, so just to let listeners know, I tried to do this podcast a year and a half ago, and it fell through. The first movie we were going to discuss was It Follows. So I watched It Follows, and I hated it. It was just so stupid.
There was not... Yeah, like...
It's considered like in the top 100 horror films of all time.
Oh my god.
Dead serious.
I don't know who's picking the top 100, but that's
It's just a movie about herpes. That's it.
Pretty much.
It's about herpes.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my god, it's so scary. Yeah, herpes is fucking horrifying. It does follow you.
Right, that's all it did.
Go.
Like, I feel like it was supposed to be an incubus or a succubus is what it was, and you passed it on to the person you had sex with. Like,
Through your balls.
They feel like they could have made that way more interesting than just something that's following you.
Well, I mean, that's what it did.
That's all it did.
Yeah, well, wrap it up, and then the movie's done. It's over.
Yeah.
It's not even, doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
So this week, actually last night, not this week, because the only thing I watched this week, just because of work, was the movies we're talking about today. But I watched Get Out last night. I haven't seen it yet. It's that movie that, what is it, Key and Peele did? The black director, he won like movie...
Oh,
he won like a movie of the year or something.
The
or
chick,
horror film of the year.
The chick that takes her black boyfriend to the...
Yeah.
Back to like
That movie was wild. I don't even want to talk about it on here because I think we should watch it and review it.
Yeah. I can do that. I've never seen it.
Like through the whole premise, yeah, Jordan Peele did it. You know that something, like, it just feels weird. Like, there's other black characters in it, and they're like servants to this white family almost.
But they're acting real weird.
Yeah, they're acting super weird and, like, not really wanting to interact with him. And, like, he starts figuring out all this weird shit that is going on. And
are they, like, giving him lobotomies or something?
No. I seriously, I don't even want to talk about it because I want to review it. But
right.
I actually really liked it. Which, I can't believe it's taken me this long to watch it because I had so many people tell me about it and tell me that it was actually good. And, I don't know, I just never saw it in theaters.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody tell me whether it was good or not. I think you feel like you're the first person I've talked to that's actually watched that movie.
No, it was really good. What's his name? The main character, he's in Black Panther.
I haven't seen Black Panther yet either.
You didn't see Black Panther
No,
yet?
we ended up skipping over that one because it wasn't out yet.
Daniel
before we went to went and saw Infinity War.
Kalia? I'm probably butchering his name, but yeah, Black Panther's, it's not bad. If you like superhero movies, it's pretty good.
No, yeah, we definitely still need to watch it. We didn't have a chance to see it before we went and watched Infinity War.
Some people didn't like it because at the beginning it's a little slow. But it's like, I mean, they have to develop the character.
Well, it's part of the storyline, too. I mean,
Absolutely.
it all fits in.
I talk to people all the time, and they bitch about, like, start-off movies. And they're like, oh, it's too slow, there's not enough action, or they just spent all their time developing the character. Well, yeah, you have to do that.
That's the point of the first one.
Excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat here. But yeah, I thought it was good. It definitely, if you're not a big comic book person, it shines light on who he is as a character.
Yeah.
And it gives you an idea of like where he lives and all that. So I thought it was good. You should watch that.
Yeah, well.
But say Cannon will probably love that.
He does. He's starting to get into the superhero stuff.
Yeah.
He's watched Thor with us. I think he watched Ragnarok with us. Which I love that movie.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
Hilarious. The Rock guy kills me.
Yeah, he's so funny.
I always forget his name, though.
I can't remember his name either.
It's just a little rock, paper, scissors joke
Piss
for
off,
you.
Ghost.
Yeah, that scene is great. All right, well, should we get into talking about these movies we watched, or are we just gonna?
Yeah, I guess we can get started on those.
So I guess we should probably start with the Jacket first, since it was the first one. Well, as far as chronology goes.
Yeah, it's an older movie, so we'll start with that one first.
Yep. So, for those of you that have not seen The Jacket, it is a 2005 movie. The premise is essentially Adrian Brody is this soldier, and during the first Gulf War in 1991, he gets shot in the head. And when he gets shot in the head, it causes a lot of memory loss and a lot of kind of weird shit going on with him. And so he leaves the Gulf War, and it's 1992 when he gets back into the United States?
Yeah, it was 92.
So the whole film starts out, it shows the scene of him in the Gulf War, and they're doing some kind of raid or something, and they have people cuffed up, Iraqi people cuffed up. And there's this kid who's kind of walking around. He looks distraught. He looks upset because obviously his family or whatever is in custody. So Adrian Brody approaches him, and the kid just fucking blasts him in the head.
Yeah.
Shoots him right in the face. Well, it wasn't his face. He shot him in
it was like the side of his head, yeah.
So blew part of his head off, JFK style. And so fast forward, he's back home, and now that he's home, he's kind of just like wandering around, doesn't really have a purpose or anything like that. And he's walking down this highway and he happens upon this young girl and her mother. And their vehicle is broken down. It's a pickup truck. And the mom is like fucking annihilated.
Dude, yeah, that's what at first I was like, I thought she was drunk, but I feel like she was on something else.
Well, okay. I've seen a fair amount of drunk people in my day.
Yeah.
Including you.
I don't remember. I don't think I've ever been that inebriated.
Her acting like she was drunk was shit. It was terrible.
Well, it was. That's why I was like, man, she almost seems like she's on some pills or something.
Could be, or she just can't act.
Or that.
I mean, that's a possibility too. We'll go with what you said though. It was more of a pills thing because I was watching that and I was like,
definitely toasted.
I was like, man, this scene is, come on, how hard is it to fucking act drunk?
Yeah, it's not. But
high schoolers do it all the time.
Yeah, but it was almost like I feel like she couldn't have just acted drunk. It wouldn't have fit with the scene. Because the scene was, they were kind of pointing to the fact that she was just, like, totally gone.
Yeah.
Like, she couldn't even keep her eyes open. She was, like, passing out. Like, she was, like, acting like she was on heroin or something.
So your car just broke down, and you're it's winter. It's like December.
In the middle of nowhere.
Fucking snow everywhere. You got this little kid, and you're like, hey, I'm going to go for a ride. Hop in the truck. Let's go die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like what I see happening in that scenario.
That's right, yeah. And that was my first thought. I was like, you're such a bad mom.
Yeah, if I was that kid, I'd be like...
You're such a bad mom.
I'd be like, bitch, I'm staying home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting in that truck with you.
Well, I guess I want to jump the storyline, but then he just lets them drive off.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been like, no, you're not going anywhere with that child.
I like how she's clueless that this grown man is standing in front of her talking to her kid, gets her vehicle started and running, and then she notices he's there.
Well, she puked.
It's like, he's been there for 10 fucking minutes.
If she threw up, then she was good to go.
You don't see this guy under the hood of your truck working on it?
After you throw up, you're good.
Well, I guess.
That's what you just got to throw up, and then you're ready to go.
You just got to purge them demons,
yeah,
huh?
You just got to get it out, and then you're ready to party.
Ghost hunters. So she freaks out. She, get away from my kid, yelling at him. Does this like half-ass like nipple slap on him, and then he walks away. So then he's cruising down the road. He's kind of hitchhiking. This early 2000s bro daddy pulls over. We all know the trucker hat cocked to the side. He's wearing a bubble vest. He's like, hey, "What's up, bro?" Like he's the early 2000s. Like he loves
Definitely.
Paris Hilton and saying that's hot and all that shit. Flavor Flav's the man.
Flavor Flav's the man.
And I Love the 90s just came on VH1.
Yeah.
And this guy's all about it.
He's all about it.
Except this happened in 1992, so.
So I Love the 90s wouldn't have been a thing yet.
That kind of fucked that all up. Well.
The 90s were just starting out.
Okay. Whatever. The costume designers blew that. We didn't. He's still wearing the sideways trucker hat with a bubble vest. Anyway.
I don't know. I mean, people still wear those.
Well, yeah, if you buy your outfit from Spencer's.
Just saying. Paige watches that show.
I thought you were about to say Paige does that.
No,
I was
no.
like, man,
I don't think I wouldn't let her do that.
I would threaten divorce on that.
No, but she watches that show, Teen Mom Young and Pregnant, the new Teen Mom deal. And one of the guys in that is always wearing one of those vests.
Just a quick little tangent here. Why do women watch that show, especially when you're an adult and you are a mom? Like, why do you care?
I don't know. It's
okay, and maybe it's just not even Teen Mom. It's just reality TV in general. Like
I think that would
live
be more
in
what
real
it
life.
is. Yeah, the whole deal around reality TV, regardless of which one it is.
Like I don't need
Jersey Shore.
I don't need to watch your train wreck of a life, or how shitty your life is. Like,
Maybe that's why
I live it every fucking day. I'm here every single day living this.
It makes you feel better about your life, maybe.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
Well,
Because
maybe
I
not
still
to
got to
you.
drag my ass out of bed every morning, go to work, deal with fucking problems all day, go home, deal with house issues or, whatever. Your dog ass tired. Your mom's calling, bitching at you. One of your siblings got some fucking catastrophic problem that only you can solve. But I don't need to sit down after dealing with all that shit on a daily basis and go, man, I really want to watch this white trash crackhead looking bitch fuck her little kid's life up. I don't want to deal with that. All right, we got to get away from this. So he's in the car with the bro dude, circa 92, and they're talking. This guy's like making small talk and just, I don't know, just talking about dumb shit. Talking about bro shit, and beers and weed and boobs and girls gone wild and stuff like that. But, so they're getting pulled over, right? And the guy's acting all weird. He's like, oh man, you ever run from the cops? And he's just like, no.
Is that what he said? I thought he said something about, like, you ever been to jail or something.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you ever been to jail? Yeah, because he's like, it's way worse than being in the military, or it's way worse than going to war.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which is just kind of like, look, have you ever been to war?
I feel like that's a little bit worse than going to jail.
Like, my grandfather has told me some horrific stories about Vietnam. I can tell you I'd rather go to jail. I
don't know. You're giving one evil for the other. You either got people shooting at you or people trying to diddle your butt in jail.
Yeah, but you can survive your butt getting diddled, okay? Once my legs are blown off, they're just kind of gone. That's
true.
Or when the fucking tiger jumps out of the tree and attacks me while I'm sleeping, I'm dead,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it.
I feel like the food's probably a lot worse in war.
Well, yeah.
Than it would be in jail.
Yeah, it's probably terrible. You're probably eating
those MREs.
Yeah, until you run out of them.
Yeah.
And then what are you eating then? Bugs?
Whatever you can find.
Yeah, seriously, like tree leaves, just whatever.
What if you
corpses?
Eat the wrong leaf.
If you eat the wrong person.
Mushrooms. What if you eat mushrooms?
Well, I mean, a lot of those guys back in the day were taking drugs.
In Vietnam, they were doing heroin.
So, yeah, he gets pulled over. You ever been to jail? Way worse than war. So then he's like, oh no. And then out of nowhere, it kind of goes white. And then it shows this dead cop on the side of the road. Doesn't tell you who killed him. Doesn't tell you what happened. The cop's dead. And flash forward, he's sitting in a courtroom, right? And the judge is just like, you were the only one there. You know you were the only one there. You telling us that other people were there is fucking bullshit. And we're pinning the whole crime on you. Well, the jury's like, no.
Well, there was a military guy, on the stand, talking on his behalf, saying that you can't blame him for the crime when his mind's not right.
Yeah, and the jury finds him innocent because of insanity. So they proved him innocent because of insanity, but they still sentence him to spend. They never gave a specified time. They committed him to an insane asylum.
Yeah.
But they didn't give like a time period, so maybe life. I don't know. I don't know how long.
Which that didn't really make sense to me, because I mean, I feel like you would be proven guilty and then sentenced to a mental asylum.
I think how it works is they're like, okay, you don't have the mental capacity to commit this crime. You did it. But you don't have the mental capacity to do it, and therefore we can't really blame you for doing what you did.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't think about that.
It's like if a little kid...
You get off of the crime without getting... you're not guilty because of being insane.
It's like when you hear about a really young little kid killing another young kid.
Yeah.
It happens every now and then, and they don't charge the kids because you're not capable of even understanding what killing is. You know what I mean? Like when your goldfish dies, your mom's like, oh, well, he went to heaven. And she doesn't tell you, well, we threw him in the toilet and flushed him down that bitch.
Well, and they say
now
that
he's gone.
Like the frontal cortex isn't developed enough yet for them to be able to diagnose any kind of like.
Yeah,
they can't diagnose whether you're a psychopath.
Yeah, you're not even
or
capable.
a sociopath. They can't do it yet because your brain's not even fully developed yet.
You're not even capable of noticing anything else around you other than what's directly in front of you.
Yeah, and there's not the part of your brain that tells you right from wrong isn't developed yet.
So I would imagine that is the take they're putting on to him, and I wrote his name down.
It's Starks.
Starks, that's right. It was on my second page of notes here.
It's not Tony popped into my head, but no, that's not.
Different guy.
It's not Tony Stark.
Who was also kind of jacked up over in the Middle East. But
yeah.
So yeah, he shows up to this insane asylum, and they got him in this room, and they keep pumping him full of all these drugs and asking him all these weird questions. And then one night, so they give him like a week's worth of sedatives, and he's just out of it. And one night they walk in, they stab him with this huge needle and shoot this serum in him of some kind. And then they drag him down to the basement of the insane asylum. And there's all these doctors in there, and there is a morgue in there.
I would say it's kind of like they took him to the morgue.
Yeah. And they lace him up in a straitjacket, which was like a custom-made one, because this straitjacket had like a neck collar on it, so he couldn't move his head or anything.
There was a hole right on the chest.
Yeah. So they got him
it
in
had
this
piss all over it.
Yeah, and like puke and shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's all fucked up.
You could wash that thing every once in a while.
Well, I mean, they don't care. They're like,
I guess that's true.
They're like, fuck him. We're gonna torture you to death.
I'm not the one going in it.
And then we're gonna dump
You still gotta touch it though.
What are you touching?
The jacket.
Well, yeah, that's why they make the cronies do that. Like the guys that are making $8.75 working at the hospital.
Making minimum wage.
They're like, hey,
you get to touch the piss jacket.
They're like, take this cum rag and put it on this guy. I don't want to fucking touch it. It follows, Have you seen that shit?
Yeah.
I'm not touching that fucking jacket.
It could.
I don't want the funky bumps. But yeah, they get him in the jacket, and he's like freaking out, like, what is going on? And they open up one of these cold storage lockers that they keep people in the morgue. And they slide him into the cold storage locker, close the door on him, and then everybody just leaves. He's fucking losing his mind in here.
Which I can't blame him for that.
Yeah, because he's totally bound. His feet are bound together. His arms are bound to his body. And he's in this really tight, small, confined space. So, like, claustrophobia is probably a bitch.
I would freak out,
Oh, yeah.
dude.
So, the serum kicks in and he starts hallucinating, right? And when he starts hallucinating, help me out here, does he have a flash forward moment?
Well, the first time he goes under, it was almost like he was flashing through a bunch of different scenes. Like he went back, I think he went back to the war.
That's what it was. The first one was back to the war. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember how it started off. I do need to note, though, there's a camera angle before they take him down into the basement where he stands up. He's just in his underwear. The camera is angled downward right at his dong.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's really brief and quick because I started laughing when I saw it. I was like, oh, they just conveniently pointed the camera right at his boner.
Yeah.
Because he's got like this half-cocked boner. And then it's just over. It's done after that. I was like, I see what you did there. They're like, let's get a little sex in this movie. But yeah. And also, the main doctor is the old geezer guy from Blade that does all the tinkering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized him.
Yeah, I picked that up immediately. And so he goes through his injury. He's freaking out about it. He sees killing the kid again. He comes out of the tank after what appears to be 4 or 5 hours, maybe.
I think they said it was 3.
3 hours, okay.
Yeah.
So they pull him out of the tank. He's kind of non-responsive at first. And so what I almost got out of the locker, it's not a tank. I almost got out of it that it's like a sleep, or not a sleep, but a sensory deprivation thing.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of shut him off from everything. Yeah.
Because when they walk out of the room, nobody's in there. He's not getting any sound other than himself.
Absolutely no noise, yeah.
So maybe that kind of contributes to the freak out he has mentally.
Which that kind of related to me with Stranger Things.
Explain.
When they put 11 in the sensory deprivation chamber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I completely forgot. Is that the first season or the second?
First one.
Okay, that's why. I only watched it through one time, and it was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
But he wakes up, and it fast forward. He wakes up in his bed. He doesn't even remember being pulled out of the locker.
Yeah.
And the next day, he is kind of in this gathering room where they have a bunch of other mental patients there. And he meets William McKenzie. William McKenzie's played by Daniel Craig. Which is funny because I have to note that since like 1989, Daniel Craig has looked like he's 40 years old.
He doesn't age at all.
I feel like he went from being a kid to being a full-blown middle-aged adult man.
Yeah.
Baby to full-blown middle-aged adult man.
It's weird to see him in other movies, and that's part of what his problem has been in Hollywood, is he's gotten so wrapped into the 007.
But he was in a ton of shit before 007. He was in Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. He was in Defiance, which was that movie about the Jews trying to escape.
Yeah,
they
I don't think I
escaped
ever watched that one.
the Holocaust by going and hiding into the forest, and they started this whole colony. Yeah, he did a bunch of movies. Let's look at it. He did a ton of movies before the 007.
But that's just what
franchise.
he's known for, is the 007 stuff. And then it's just weird to see him in any other role now, because he's done so many of them.
God, he's 50? I had no idea that he was that old. Skyfall. But yeah, I liked him in Road to Perdition. He was like the little bastard son that he called for Tom Hanks's family to get like whacked.
Yeah. See, but it says known for Casino Royale,
it's
Skyfall, Spectre, and Quantum of Solace.
Absolutely. I'm trying to... Yeah, he was in Logan Lucky. I forgot about that. The Golden Compass. You remember when that came out? There was like a ton of backlash on it. Munich. That was a killer movie. I never saw the Archangel thing. There's The Jacket. Copenhagen. I didn't know he was in the Tomb Raider movies.
I don't think I've ever seen those.
They're not good. Don't watch them.
I feel like that's why I didn't watch them.
So yeah, he started his acting career in 92.
Dang.
But anyways, yeah, he meets up with Daniel Craig, and Daniel Craig seems like he's not totally gone. Like, he's not, like, completely mentally disabled. He can comprehend thoughts, and he can talk. And so Daniel Craig kind of explains that he's in there because he was worried he was going to kill his wife.
Well, he said that he tried.
Well, he was going to try, and she called the police and had him... He kept threatening it.
He told her... He said that he tried 30 times.
Oh, well. He said he kept having thoughts, and he was threatening it.
That's because he made the comment about why he didn't know why he didn't try a different method, because it wasn't working, obviously.
Yeah. So, and he's sitting there talking to Daniel Craig. He's not really... Stark is not really interested in talking to him, because he just had a traumatic night, and so he's just watching TV, kind of like, man, I wish you would fuck off. Like, it's like running into some person you went to high school with or something, and they're like, oh man, how's your life going? Like, they care, and especially when it's like somebody that you didn't like. It's like, I fucking hated you in high school, and I know for a fact you didn't like me either, you know?
Yeah.
So why... Don't act like you have some kind of investment in finding
Well, it's
out
not
what's
even
going
that.
on in
It's
my
just,
life.
it's always that really awkward small talk.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to get the groceries. That's what you're there for. You don't want to stand there for 15 minutes, so you're not going to bring up something that you have to actually have a conversation about.
Well, then they act like they're not friends with you on Facebook.
And then
It's like,
yeah.
you know what's going on in my life.
And then there's always the awkward, how do you, like, break the conversation and move
Yeah.
along with the grocery shopping at that point, yeah.
You're like,
oh,
well,
yeah, see you later.
hey, I gotta get out of here, so you fuck off, all right?
Right.
Have a good one. Or don't. I don't really care.
Like, you don't really want to say the whole, like, yeah, hit me up sometime, because you know that you're not going to.
Never. You're never going to hit them up.
So, yeah, that's always an awkward.
And even after you ask, you don't know why you asked. In the slim chance that they're like, I am going to hit you up.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you up this weekend.
You know you're going to come up with an excuse not to.
Yeah.
You know that. Let's be honest.
Well, shit, I come up with excuses not to hang out with people I like sometimes. So,
Right.
imagine with somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
Like, your parents are like, oh, well, we're all meeting at Grandma's this weekend. We want you to come over. We want to talk shit on every failure you've ever had, like, right in front of you. It's that kind of thing.
That sounds shitty. I don't have.
Well, you know,
That doesn't really go on too bad.
you grew up in a good
family
family,
events.
Matt. Good family.
Yeah, they're all right.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're not trying to get into that. We don't. This isn't the
We don't
family
need to get into the whole
tribulations
personal-
podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll start that up. We got plenty of stories, but we're gonna have
You
to.
have plenty of stories.
We're gonna have to wait for a few people to die, because
Yeah.
if we don't, we're gonna have some serious shit talking going down.
Yeah, that would be. I could Lil Kim.
Yeah. Stop while you're ahead, Junior. But yeah. So then the main doctor, the gal, not the main doctor, but she kind of watches over all the patients and monitors them. She's almost kind of like a social worker within the hospital.
I say it almost seemed like she was like more like the therapist,
Yeah.
and then the other doctor was like the treatment doctor.
Yeah, so she comes up to him and she's like, how you doing? And he's just kind of like, you know how I'm doing. Because he's assuming that she knows that they're doing these experiments on him. And she's just like, kind of clueless about it. But then she figures out pretty quick. He's like, yeah, y'all have been stabbing me with shit and put me in a meat locker and leaving me for dead, right? So she's a little concerned about it, and he pretty much just tells her to fuck off. He's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. You're wasting my time, lady. So, yeah. Then the next night, he's back in his room. And he gets pulled back down there. And
Yeah, they come and get him again.
they hit him with the shit again. They put the
But
jacket
he
back
hits
on
the
him.
doctor, and wasn't that the time he hit the doctor?
Yeah,
in the
he
face
punches
with
that doctor.
The jacket. Yeah,
He punches the old man in the face, busts his cheek open.
we hit him with the jacket.
Was it with the jacket? I thought he punched him.
No, he said something about him. He was happy that he was cooperating this time, and then he handed him the jacket to put it on, and he used the jacket and hit him in the face with it,
okay.
like one of the buckles or something cut his face
Okay.
open.
So yeah, then they kind of kick his ass a little bit. Like they put the jacket on, they put the beat down on him real quick. They fuck his ribs all up. He's got bruises all over him.
Yeah,
And they get him in the jacket. And he's like begging him to stop. Please don't do this. And they throw him back in the locker, close the door, and he says, leave him in there. Like, the doctor's fucking pissed. He's just leave him in there.
He didn't even answer.
Yeah.
That was what.
Well,
Because
when
the
the guy-
other doctor was trying to ask him how long he should be in there, he wouldn't even answer.
Yeah, he said leave him in there, though. That's all he said. Because when he
Okay.
was asking how long. And so, this is when, okay, he's telling him, I don't belong here, I'm not crazy, this and that. Then the serum kicks in, he has his very first future hit. Like, he goes into the future. Doesn't know
Yeah.
where the fuck he is. He's at a truck stop back in the town that he was in when the murder of the cop happens.
Okay, I must have missed that part.
Yeah.
I didn't catch on to the fact that it was the same time.
Yeah. And he's standing there and he's freezing his ass off. He's in this light jacket. He doesn't know where he is, why he's there, what's going on. So, out across the street, there's this little diner, and I can't remember. It's Keira Knightley's character. I can't remember the name. I didn't write it down.
I want to say it was like Jody or something like that.
All right, well, we'll call her Jody. Jody High Roller. So she walks out of the diner, kind of looks at him. She's like, who is this weird guy? Kind of looking at him, almost like she recognizes him. Gets in her busted-ass Jeep Cherokee. Amazing piece of American engineering, by the way.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a old piece of shit station wagon.
No.
It was. That's right. It was a Jeep. No, it showed it later. Maybe. Yeah, you're right.
And now that I think of it, I think it was a Chevy Blazer, actually.
It was an old fucking SUV. That's all that matters.
It would have been better if it was a Jeep. So anyway.
It would have been better.
Gets in her car. She drives right past him. Keeps kind of cruising. And you hear this semi-truck. And it's like... Beep, beep. And for some reason, she slams on her brakes right as the semi-truck honks. And she backs her car up. And she turns and looks. And she realizes, oh, I fucking recognize this dude. So then she's kind of talking to him. She's like, you have anywhere to go? He's like, no, I don't have anywhere to go. And she doesn't know who he is, but she recognizes him. I didn't catch on to the record shop. I thought she just thought he looked like a nice guy. Yeah, she doesn't know who he is, but she does recognize him. So she takes him back to her house, and she goes and takes a bath. It's a fucking really weird scene where in the very... You've got some stranger in your house, and you're just like, oh, you can just chill on my couch. I'm going to go take a bath. At the very opening part of the scene, I fucking kid you not, she's sitting in the tub butt-ass naked. There's no water in the bathtub at first. And then, like, when it goes back into her being in the bathroom, there's water in the bathtub again. So I was just like, why... You just sitting in a cold-ass bathtub. Yeah, well, it like, emphasized the fact that she was just chilling in there smoking cigarettes. Yeah. So I was like, what is the point of that? It's like, okay. So she comes back out. He found his dog tags that he gave her on the roadside years earlier. That was after they had done dinner. Huh? He found the dog tags after she passed out. Yeah. After dinner. Yeah, okay. So he made her a fucking sandwich or whatever. Yeah. So... Because he found the rock in the freezer with the name Petal on it. Yeah. Because that was like significant to the storyline that he found that rock. Because then she said something about him snooping. She was like pissed that he found it. Yeah. So he finds his dog tags, brings it up to her. He's like, "Oh, you don't remember me? You don't recognize me?" And from there, it just kind of like. She's like, no, I don't remember you. I don't know who you are. Jack Stark died years ago. You're a liar. He died in 1992. Yeah, she starts to, like, freak out on him. And she's like, get out of my house. And she's freaking out. And then, like, it's like, well, I mean, you didn't really have to act. Yeah, it was a little over the top. It was really over the top. I was like, come on, Kira. You're better than that. Yeah. I mean, I guess she was, like, drunk. Yeah. So then he fucks off, and it shoots him back into the insane asylum. Yeah, he had spent the entire night in the box. Yes, and the doctor's pissed that he was in there all night because it like jacked him all up and yeah, whatever. So essentially, what this is. This scene opens it up to a foreshadow of his death. So it's telling you that he's going to die. Yeah, yeah. So that's what I picked up in that scene. I wrote that down. He foreshadows his death with Mackenzie, which is Daniel Craig. He comes forward and he's talking to him about dying. So then the next trip he takes, because, I mean, there's a little bit of time in between him and the trip with Keira Knightley he kind of talks to Daniel Craig about what was going on. It's like a filler, like 15-minute part of the movie. So, it shows the doctor, the therapist chick talking or working with that kid Yes.
Bobek, I think is what they said his name was.
For the first time. And he's having some kind of, they don't tell you what it is yet, but he's having some kind of issue.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what it is. She's trying to figure it out.
He can't
trying to help
talk or anything like that.
He's like, what, 7? Hasn't learned how to talk yet or something like that. Maybe he's older than that.
I think he was older than that, but he didn't have the ability to really respond or move his body very well or anything. Yeah.
So then we fast forward a little bit because it's kind of like a little filler part. I mean, some of it's prevalent, but most of it's just conversations.
The kid part is important.
Yeah. So the kid is her friend's kid, a friend of hers.
Her friend, yeah, because when I first saw that scene, I thought that it was like her girlfriend.
Okay. Wow, Matt, why did you think that?
It seemed like she was like going home. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess she's got a girlfriend in the movie.
Okay, all right. I didn't pick up on that at all.
That was my original thought. I figured out afterwards that wasn't the case.
I heard her say that it was her friend before that scene ever happened.
Oh, I guess I missed that part.
Yeah, you're probably smoking or something.
Yeah, maybe. I was like jumping back and forth between Vampire Diaries and
drinking mercury.
Yeah.
But so it fast forwards to the next time he goes in, and that future. Well, no, there was a flashback that time. It tells him who killed the cop.
Yeah,
he's in the car.
It showed what happened.
The guy that picked him up, the bro daddy, kills the cop. He's got like a .38 revolver, shoots the cop like 4 times. The cop is shooting back at him, misses a shot. It goes off the hood of the car and hits Adrian Brody in the face. And he falls over and he passes out, which is weird to me because throughout the whole movie, there's no scar and there's no nothing from where you got shot again in the fucking head.
Yeah.
You've been shot in the head twice. That dude, he doesn't want to die. So he figures it out, and he kind of freaks out about it, and he comes back into the hospital. He also, little sponsor thing, smokes Lucky Strike cigarettes. Lucky Strikes, everybody. Smoke them if you got them. So then,
you can't even get Lucky Strikes here anymore.
Well, you can if you order them from Croatia.
I did that. I believe it was Romania.
Was it Romania?
Yeah, I think it was Romania. Dude, it took like a month to get the package. It definitely wasn't worth it in the long run.
Well, yeah, because you smoke one of those cigarettes. A horse could smoke the cigarette and die immediately.
And they're really stale. Like, they're really old.
And they have huge, huge horse lungs.
Yeah, they weren't good.
So then, in that same dream state, it flashes into the future then. And he walks into the diner, sees Keira Knightley again. She agrees to talk to him. And they go and they talk. And he tells her about this shit that's going on. I'm from the past. Yeah. You're living in the future. I'm from the past. I can prove it. Starts telling her all this shit about herself and about who he was and all this. And at first she's like, you're a fucking liar, you know. But then she starts believing him. And she's like, oh my God, you know. And they go to the hospital, and they start interviewing the doctors.
The insane asylum that he was at, yeah.
And they interview the head guy of the hospital, and he's like, oh, this doctor's not around anymore. I don't know this doctor. But
because he keeps saying that they're looking for the reason why his uncle died, which was actually him.
They're like, oh my God, you're the spitting image. Even patients are like, oh, I know this motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah.
But, so, he goes and talks to the gal. And she's not wanting to give any information on him. She kind of like starts to, and then she gets really suspect about him because he brought up that kid.
Yeah, because she said something about that kid. She said, your uncle helped me with a friend of mine's kid.
And he's like, how?
To get through to him.
And see, when she tells him how, then we start realizing really quick that he's living in 2 times at the same time.
Yeah, he was like jumping back and forth between.
Yeah.
Time dimension, yeah.
Which is really weird.
Which that's why I didn't much care for that movie because it didn't have that premises to start with at all. Like, it was almost like it started off as like this weird movie where he ends up in it was almost like it was going to talk about mental illness or something. And then all of a sudden it just boom, time travel is what's going on. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it didn't explain it. The depth of the storyline was really shallow, in my opinion.
Well, that's why some people, like, consider it a terrible movie. I personally didn't think it was a terrible movie. It had plot holes in it, but most movies have plot holes in them.
Yeah, but that one was just...
It was too big, maybe.
Super shallow.
Could have been broken. But yeah, so... after they talk to her, they go down into the basement, and he shows Keira Knightley, like, look, I'm sitting in this locker right now.
Yeah.
And then that patient walks down there and starts talking to him.
Who was actually the resident.
Yeah.
That was taking him down there.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
And so he's like, who killed him? Who killed me? Like, he's trying to pry this information out. Nobody wants to tell him who killed him, but he's desperately trying to pry this information out. And the guy freaks out, and they get kicked out of the hospital. So, I'm lost from there.
Well, they didn't get kicked out. They just booked it out
They
of there
left.
when another nurse that was working there came down to that room. They went and found his grave.
Yeah.
And then the therapist is watching them from the window because she's like super suspect now.
And then they go back to the house and fuck.
That was real weird.
I didn't love that.
That was real weird because it's like, in your time that this is a little girl, but you're still hooking up with her in the future. Kind of funky.
I just didn't love that.
Kind of funky.
I was like, It really fucks you up later on in the movie, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they bone. Then he goes back to the time he's actually in, 1992. He's talking to the nurse. He's telling her about this future shit. She doesn't believe him, and he's like, yo, electric shock therapy is going to heal.
Form, yeah. Is what he said.
Old Babadook.
Bobak.
Yeah.
Babadook.
So she's like, oh, I don't believe you. And then she goes and fucking zaps this kid.
And she tries it.
And then boom, he's like, oh, hey, how is everybody doing? He's just like talking like a
Totally
motherfucker.
good,
He's
yeah.
like, he's got a college degree now immediately.
Yeah.
And he's
well,
just...
like it was like the electric shock reset his brain because he was having consistent seizures.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like coming out of them almost.
Yeah. So then he writes his dissertation. He wins the Nobel Peace Prize, and that's the end of the movie.
I don't think that's how that is.
Oh, okay. Well, I must have watched something different.
You watched the theatrical version?
Must have been some kind of Einstein deal or something.
Yeah.
But then it moves to him going back in because he's baiting them to send him back. Daniel Craig's like, oh,
because they stopped sending him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they think he's playing them or something. So then he starts this huge fucking thing with all these people to get in trouble. And as punishment, they send him back in. Well, what they don't know is he wants to go back in so he can do weird sex to the little girl that isn't a little girl. Is a full-grown woman.
That he knows in one time frame, but is older. Yeah, that's a little weird.
So then, bam, he's back at it. They're hanging out again. They're making out again. Made a note of that. Real weird.
Yeah.
Making out again. And they go and see Becker in the future, which is the main doctor.
That's putting him in the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he tells him that all these people that he's tortured by doing this will haunt him for the rest of his life. And he swears he's trying to help them.
Because he says the last time you went in, when you came out, you told me the names.
Yes.
And then he tells him the names.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he goes back and does it. He tells him the names that the doctor told him.
Which is, it kind of brings up a weird point. It's like, so is this a time travel movie? Is this a parallel universe thing going on? Is this a butterfly effect kind of deal?
That's why I didn't like it. Didn't explain any of it. Like it was almost like he was just doing like a time slip.
I didn't see Ashton
his
Kutcher
brain.
once.
Yeah, there was no butterfly effect.
So yeah, she cures the kid. So now the nurse is believing him when he goes back. She believes him.
Yeah,
she's all on board. So he's telling her, I'm going to die tonight. I need to leave the hospital, and I need to go talk to this little girl that I'm having sex with in the future's mom, so she doesn't burn herself to death.
So she doesn't get, she doesn't end up dying.
So he goes, he writes her a letter. He's like, look, quit being a shit-ass mom. Take care of your fucking kid. She's going to grow up to be somebody great one day.
Which, I feel like if somebody came into my house and just gave me a letter, I would be real skeptical to believe them.
Yeah.
She just goes for it. Like, all right, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks for fixing my daughter in the future and saving my life. Maybe not boning her later on because you're a weird, creepy old man right now. So, yeah, then he goes back. We find out how he dies. He slips and falls and smashes his fucking head on the ice, which is really stupid because you've been shot in the head twice and that didn't kill you. You bump your head, now you're fucking dead.
Well, but it actually, during that last time slip that he goes through, he does have that flashback where he sees that it wasn't actually the cop that shot him.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah, it was the guy that he was riding with. After he shot the cop, he turned around and shot him, and then cleaned the gun off and threw it on the ground.
I saw the clean the gun off thing. I didn't realize it was that guy that shot him, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, he's dying now. He smashed his head. His last request is to go back in. So they put him back in. He's bleeding everywhere. And he goes back in and sees her one last time at the same truck stop. She looks happy. She talks to him. The truck horn honks. She stops. It's the same way as the beginning. She picks him up. She takes him to the hospital. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah, it shows that she was like instead of some old piece of shit Jeep, she had a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes, which everybody knows is a great upgrade.
Yeah, real good upgrade.
Yeah. And that's it.
So that's the Jacket for you.
I didn't hate it. It was broken, had some weird scenes. I didn't like the borderline. To me, it was almost like pedophilia-esque.
That's
part.
Yeah. I got it. It's
like
just
that.
a creepy feeling from that part of
the twist wasn't terrible in it. It was very predictable though, but it wasn't terrible.
See, that's I almost didn't even get a twist. Like there wasn't like a twist.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that, like, at the end of the movie, you're like, holy shit.
Well, to be categorized as a thriller, it's got to have a twist.
But there wasn't one, in my opinion.
So you say fuck that movie?
Yeah, I didn't much care for that movie. They definitely didn't explain anything enough to make it easy.
Okay, well, there
follow.
it is. Matt hated it. We found a
Which is
movie
not
that Matt
very
Sims
often.
does not like. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was... I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I don't know. All right, so start us off with Tusk.
All right, on to the real good one.
The Kevin Smith masterpiece.
God. Thanks to our friend Katie for recommending this one.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
You didn't like it?
Oh my god, that movie was ridiculous.
I can't remember who recommended The Jacket.
I don't either.
Well, go ahead. I'll get into finding
we'll
that.
find it so we can give him a little shout out. But yeah, Tusk. It starts out, these guys are doing a podcast. It's what's his name, Justin?
Justin Long.
Justin Long. Yeah, they have this podcast called the Nazi Party, not the Nazi Party, the Nazi Party. But the premise of their podcast is that Justin Long's character goes and talks to these really interesting people, and they're almost like making fun of them.
Yeah.
And then he comes back, and their podcast is them telling his friend about the experience, and like it's hilarious. They think it's funny. They're making fun of these people. So it shows that, and he's going to go visit one of the people that they're planning on doing a podcast about in Canada. So he's going up to Canada.
Yeah, he's like obsessed with almost urban legends, right? Like the stories he tells, he's talking about like crazy tales and urban legends and things like that. And that's why he wants to go up and interview that guy. Because they found like a note at a bar or something.
Well, this one, it was a kid. He was going to visit this kid that was like a YouTube sensation. He made a funny video about cutting his leg off with a samurai sword.
You're right.
So he's going to go up and see him. He shows up to the kid's house, and the kid's dead.
Yeah.
He fell on his sword and killed himself. So he's like pissed. He's like, I flew up to Canada for nothing. And then he goes to a bar, which the customs scene when he's going, that part was funny.
Yeah.
That guy was cracking me up about hockey. It was pretty good.
Elaborate in case somebody that's listening hasn't seen Tusk.
I don't remember the full conversation they had, but he says something about he doesn't follow hockey. And then the guy tells him to get his shit off his desk. He's he's super offended, and he explains to him, he's like, well, you're in Canada, you cannot tell people up here that you're not interested in hockey.
Yeah. Which is a little pointer. Don't go into Canada or go through their customs and kill a national pastime there. That's like going to New York and standing in front of the Yankees stadium and just saying, fuck baseball.
Yeah. Well, you could probably get across the border with pretty much anything you wanted to, as long as you were wearing like a Maple Leafs jersey.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the way through.
Or like a Canucks jersey or something like that.
Yeah. But then he explains that he says something about Canadians, they're not sad. They don't get sad. And he says it's in the flag. He says, what did he say? Something about we're red and we're white, but we don't get blue.
Oh man!
So that part was pretty funny. But he gets over there, finds out that the kid's dead. So he goes to this bar because he's like, man, I wasted $500 on a plane ticket to come up here for nothing. He's like, I got to find somebody to get a story for.
Yeah.
This can't be a wasted trip. So he goes into the bathroom, and then he finds this little note on this, I guess, like board where people put
like cork board.
Cork board. That's what. Like posters and shit, bands and whatever. That says he has a place for rent or a room to rent out, and he has some stories to tell.
Yeah.
So he calls this guy, and then which another part I liked was when he went to the convenience store on the way to the guy, and he's asking, he's like, where's I can't remember what he called it, Bifrost is what I think he said the name of the city was. And he's on the phone with somebody, or he's on the phone with the guy while he's talking to him, and he's like, oh, the kids up here said it's about 2 hours. And they're just like, I hate Americans.
Well, the funny thing about those two girls, that's Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp's daughters.
They're in a different movie, too.
Yeah.
Which I saw that while looking for Tusk.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Yoga Hosiers. And the preview was ridiculous.
Is that movie the actual two girls from the gas station? Like, this is a spin-off of Tusk?
I think it was, because they were in that gas station for that movie. Yeah. But, alright, so then he gets to the house. The guy's got he's like got this huge mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got a bunch of really cool stuff on the wall. He starts telling him a story about being in the war.
Yeah.
And he was on a boat, and the boat sank. I don't remember how he said the boat sank, but he gives him tea to drink.
Yeah.
While they're talking about this, and Justin's his character is just like over the top. Like, dude, I was just like, man, I would be so uncomfortable talking to a stranger the way that he's talking to that guy.
He's like an overly cocky asshole.
Yeah, he is. He's a prick.
Yeah.
And then the guy says something about a walrus saved his life because he was in the water. It like dragged him onto a little island. But then he starts getting real woozy from drinking the tea, and he says something about, like, he's like, what the fuck did you put in this? And he just passes out.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in a wheelchair. He can't feel his legs or anything. And then, the guy told him that a spider bit him.
Yeah.
A brown recluse.
Yeah. Which
I would have known right then and there. I've done too much research about brown recluses, because this place is full of them. that was bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Total bullshit.
You're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. I know for sure that's not what it is. Especially because brown recluses aren't even in Canada anyways. So, yeah.
Well, he's got him, he tells him...
He said that he had to call the doctor.
Yeah, and it would be a few days or something like that.
Well, he said the spider bit him on the leg. He had to call the doctor, and the doctor had to cut his leg off.
Yeah.
Because he's missing a leg.
Yeah.
And then... he says something about needing his phone, and he's like, well, the doctor took all the phones.
Yeah.
I would like, dude, come on, this is bullshit. But
I would be freaking the fuck out
right,
if I woke up and I was missing a leg. I mean, maybe that's just me. I don't know. I use my legs a lot.
I'd be furious.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then he tells him what time dinner is, and then they're meeting at the dinner table, and he starts questioning. He's like starting to kind of figure out. He starts questioning what kind of spider was it.
Yeah.
And he said it's a little brown recluse spider, which this guy is really weird. You can right off the bat, he's real weird. Mm-hmm. You can tell there's something up with him. And then, besides the whole tea thing, I mean, that's a dead giveaway. There's something funky.
Or the fact that he's missing a fucking leg. Which, when I first saw it, I was like, is he feeding this dude his own leg?
Yeah, I was like, what is he doing with the leg? Or does he have a walrus and he's feeding it to the walrus? Or was it just, at first I was like, okay, that was his way of making sure that he can't leave.
Yeah.
He cuts his leg off, you can't run.
Yeah. Kind of like Misery when old girl like breaks his damn legs.
Yeah,
when he's like stuck to the bed or whatever.
Yeah. So he starts to question, he starts to figure out that it's all bullshit storyline. And he says something to the guy, I can't remember what he said, he like cussed at him or something. Mm-hmm. And the guy just stands up and walks to the other, which he's been in a wheelchair up until then. So that was he was like, oh shit. Walks over there and smacks him across the face.
Don't talk to me like that, bitch.
Yeah. And then so Justin Long starts screaming.
Yeah.
That was the part that I would have been like, I wouldn't have been just sitting there screaming, because then the guy starts yelling back, like almost like show him nobody's gonna hear you. But he's like, yeah. I'd have been terrified at that point. It's like,
you gotta know while this is happening that you screaming isn't gonna help, because that house is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like when he's trying to get to the house, he gets like borderline lost, and
it's just 2 hours. Out of Manitoba is what they kept saying. Yeah. I was laughing at that part. The guy starts growling.
Yeah.
And then he starts screaming some more, and the guy's screaming with him. It was pretty funny. But it goes back to where it shows that his girlfriend is like on a video almost. Which she said something about, I can't believe we're doing this to him. And like my first thought was, they set him up.
Yeah.
Which turns out not to be the case at all.
No, didn't set him up.
But I was like, all right, they set his ass up. And it's like she's cheating on him.
Yeah.
But he's cheating on her. That's what she's explaining.
With who?
It doesn't show at first.
Okay. I don't want to jump ahead, because viewers or listeners are going to love this. Because this kind of plays back to last week when we talked about a certain little movie.
Which movie?
I can't tell you right now. They're going to know exactly what the fuck we're talking about if I did.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, well, you weren't here, so.
But, so it shows her talking to somebody like but, I mean, it pretty quickly shows who it is, I guess. It doesn't show it at first, so you're like, who is she talking to? Who's she talking to? And then her phone starts ringing because Justin Long wakes up after the whole dinner thing.
Yeah.
And finds his phone because it's ringing, and his ringtone was hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know, something more margaritas. It's pretty funny. But she tries calling him, and that's the call that he heard when he goes and finds his phone, was her calling him.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where he's at, because at this point he's been missing for like 3 days. And then, so she sets her phone down in the bathroom, which was weird too. I was like, nobody does that.
Yeah.
Your phone's right next to your bed.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody's is. And then his friend from the podcast that he does.
Who is?
I don't remember his name.
Haley Joel Osment from the Sixth fucking Sense.
Oh, yeah. That's the connection. Okay. Now I remember. But I think he tried calling him too. And then he goes in there and brushes his teeth. And then sets his phone in there too, which was like, that's just stupid.
Maybe they're worried that the NSA is listening to the ball slapping.
But who leaves their phone in their bathroom?
I don't know, man.
Not just the fact that it's not right next to your bed, because everybody's is, but in your bathroom too.
Maybe that's the only outlet that works.
It almost made it seem like that. That was where they had to put. But regardless, and then he tries calling him. He tries calling him and leaves him a voicemail too, because he leaves him both voicemails saying this guy's like fucking crazy, he cut my leg off. And then the guy walks up, which I forgot to mention a part. The guy in the beginning has a walrus dick on his wall,
yeah,
like on display.
And I believe the term he used for it is magnificent.
Yeah, something like that. It was weird, his obsession with the walrus dick.
So, just so everybody knows, the fucking magnificent cock.
Yeah. Justin Long's like jacking it off.
Yeah.
But he comes sneaking up behind him while he's on the phone with him, and he hits him in the head with it, and like knocks him the fuck out, knocks him out of the chair. And he said, all right. I don't remember at what point he told him something about having a walrus suit that would fit him.
Yeah.
Nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So you start catching on the fact that like he's like,
this guy's fucking weird.
Either he's just gonna put him in a walrus suit because he like wants him to pretend to be one, or he's like, this guy's weirdly obsessed with walruses because he's like wiping, like cleaning off a walrus tusk at one point. But all right, so then they start searching for him because they wake up the next day and they hear their voicemail or his voicemail, so they start going and looking for him. Which I thought it was really funny when they're trying to talk to the cops, and she says something about a picture of him if you just search Nazi party, and the cop just immediately hangs up. But so then it shows him doing more like surgery on him. He's all bloody and he's sewing something up, and he sewed his arms like to his sides. Yeah. And then throughout their search for their friend, they run into they're at a police station, and the cop's like joking about it. This Canadian cop's just like making jokes about it. Asks him if it's a prank and something else. But then he says something about a guy came in here the other day that was asking if there had been any torsos found that had limbs, like I think he said their legs cut off. So he gets them in touch with that guy. And then this character, which I was not expecting him to be in the movie. Yeah. It's what's his name? I can't think of his last name.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, that's right. Yeah, which I was just like, why he's in this movie?
Which is weird because the whole movie, it literally takes a 180 when he jumps into the movie.
Yeah, the first of the movie starts out as almost like a horror.
It's movie. Like a straight up horror film.
Yeah,
like,
you're just like, what the
There's
fuck?
like dark comedy aspects of it, but you're like, this guy's being brutalized. Like, and you know it. Like this, you're 100% convinced he's going to be killed.
And this guy that he's at his house is totally insane.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, like, you get the horror feel from this.
Definitely. But then, and then Johnny Depp's character pops up, and I can't even remember what his name was, but he's part of, like, the Vancouver.
It was something French. It was some kind of French
some
name.
French thing. It is like the inspector or something like that. And this character is just totally over the top. You like can't even hardly understand him. He sounds like he's wasted.
Is he probably?
Sitting there smoking cigarettes in a restaurant, trying to talk to him about this.
He probably is wasted, Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
recently came down on some hard times. And Guy Laporte.
Yeah, Laporte.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. He's just ridiculous, and they're at this restaurant, and he's complaining about he's talking about the restaurant not being, I think he said in Vancouver, because he was saying that was like one of the best things about coming up there. But he says that he thinks that he ran into the killer at one point and didn't know it, and then it flashes back to him
like had a conversation with him or something.
Yeah, like he was looking for the killer, and he went to this house, and he's actually sitting on the front porch. And he's, like, acting like he's, like, slow.
Yeah.
And he says something to him about it. He called the cops because there was a spider in his toilet.
Yeah.
And asked him if he's going to come kill the spider. And Johnny does like, I'm not authorized to dispatch a spider by firearm. But he's, like, starting to get weird vibes from this guy. You can tell. And he says something, he starts talking about hockey and whatever else. He eventually leaves, and then when it goes back to them in the restaurant, he says something about he explains that there was a hockey player, like a pretty famous, I guess not super famous, but like an up and coming hockey player that was got drafted for some team, and he answered an advertisement for a room that was for rent, and then he disappeared.
Yep.
And he thinks that the hockey player was actually in that house when he was on the front porch talking to the guy. That was his like brush with him. So, and I can't remember how they figured out. Oh, they went to the gas station. That's what it was. They started following his trip. Johnny Depp's character is just like over the top. He's telling them that when they get in the car, he's like, does he have any habits? Does he smoke or anything like that? And they finally remember that he likes to drink the really big, huge cups of soda from gas stations. That's like one of his favorite things. So they go to this gas station, and the two same chicks that Justin Long talked to in the beginning are at the gas station, and they start questioning him. And then it shows Justin Long's like entire interaction at the gas station, which was funnier than it was to start with.
Yeah.
Because after they hand him a pad of paper, and he just turns around to the stranger and starts writing on her back. Like, just, like, yeah, he was just like overly ridiculous, like,
it's almost like
arrogant asshole.
They take what people claim Americans are like, and they force Justin Long's character to be exactly that.
Yeah. But, so, and then it flashes to Justin Long being in this guy's house, and he's in almost like a SeaWorld exhibit type setting.
Yeah.
And it shows him actually in the suit as a walrus. Yes. And it was so disgusting.
Yes.
And he cut out his tongue, so he's just sitting there like, like, yeah. It's so messed up. It was
and this is pre-Tusks, correct?
No, he had the tusks.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't catch on to it until at that point. He used his leg bones.
Yeah, and fashioned the tusks.
And fashioned them into tusks.
Bolted them to his face.
It was because he said something about it when they're in the restaurant talking to Guy Lapointe.
Yeah.
That in the hole in the guy's roof of the guy's mouth, because they found his torso, the hockey player, that they found a piece of his tibia, or fibia, one of the two, but in that hole. So they was like really weird. They couldn't figure out why it was there. That's when I made that connection.
He ate his own legs off.
Maybe he ate his own legs.
One time my cat, he have to bowl like that. He bite his own head off. That's a little Big Daddy reference for you. It's one of my favorite lines in any movie ever.
But, so, and then the guy is, like, overly excited about the fact that he's in this walrus suit, and he's, like, sounds like a walrus.
And he's, like, clapping it on, and
he's like,
super
dancing
happy.
and clapping.
Yeah, he's fucked up.
It was so weird. And then, he forces him to get into the water. Like, I think he pulls him in with a chain.
Yeah.
Because he wants him to swim. And he goes in the water, and he's, like, floating for a second. I'm assuming because of the suit that he was in. And then he starts to sink in the water, and opens his eyes, and he sees somebody else in this walrus suit dead in the bottom of the water. Like, totally freaks him out. But, yeah, so he does that part. And then he throws him a fish. At the end of that, he wants him to eat the fish raw, and that's like when he's like really acting like a walrus. Like the guy, it was almost like he was like getting off to this shit because he shuts the door after he throws him the fish. He shuts the door and he opens this little peephole, and he's like sitting there like intently watching him eat this fish. Yes. Like what was the dude doing behind the door? Right
Which with the tusks on his face is like incredibly difficult.
That's what I was like. How is he even doing that with it? And that would have to be so painful. Yeah, like you had your own leg bones inserted into your mouth surgically.
Well, you can run on your head a lot better.
He can't move around very well when he's in this Tusk suit or the walrus suit. He calls him Mr. Tusk.
Yes, he does.
He said his name for him.
Which funny little tidbit of trivia. The first time I saw Tusk, I changed my Twitter handle to Mr. Tusk for a while.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I never caught that.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, man, but that's like his buddy now, Mr. Tusk. Oh, but I think it shows, I think after that scene it shows that he had gone, when he was on the island, he was like best buds with this walrus.
Yeah.
Because it saved him. And then it shows that, which really messed me up, why it was wrapped up in a white sheet when it shows the dead walrus.
Yeah.
And he's eating the walrus.
Yeah. He, like, explains he had to kill it in order
To survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it had saved him and was his, like, best friend.
Yeah.
It was, like, his greatest regret.
Yeah, he said that he had a connection with a walrus that you can never have with a human being. But, and then he like, once he's getting rescued, and then he looks down at his hands and they're all bloody, and he realizes that he killed the walrus.
Yeah.
He has like a fucking psychotic break. He like freaks out, and which I think led to some of that. But so they find the house because they figured out, oh, it was Johnny Depp like scribbled on the notepad with a pencil, and he says that somebody did that in a movie, and he's like, that is actually, fun fact, that's where I figured that out from. Like, wasn't anything that he actually learned from being in the police force or whatever it was that he was in Vancouver.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police or something like that.
No, it's like
he's not a Mountie.
No, it was a French thing. It was a Vancouver I think he said it was an inspector or something like that. But, yeah, so they go to that gas station. They kind of figure out the address because of that. And, like, on their way there, it goes to Justin Long waking up, and he's still in the walrus suit,
yes.
which was just, dude, it was disgusting.
Yes.
But, and then he looks over at the guy, Howard Howe was his name. I forgot to mention that. He is in his own walrus suit and ready to battle. They're fighting.
Yes.
Because I guess it was like he was like giving his walrus friend another chance because he killed him the first time.
Yeah, to get back at him.
Yeah. But so they start fighting like walruses, which they were just like bumping into each other and making weird noises. Yeah. Justin
like every time he hit the Howard House guy, he's like, oh! Like it was like severely painful.
Justin Long's scared. He's like, just screaming and making weird noises the whole time because he's missing his tongue. But they start fighting, and like in the process of them fighting, his girlfriend and his friend from the podcast and Johnny Depp's character, the Guy Lapone, they find the house, and they're like going into the house, and they can hear him yelling throughout the process. And it's like right before they get into the SeaWorld exhibit, he like jumps on top of this guy and just starts stabbing the shit out of him with his tusk.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that had to hurt really bad
for both parties.
Yeah, I mean, dude, how do you? Like, it's not even actually attached. Like, they're just like, he like cut a hole in your face and just shoved this bone in there.
It's like Hobo with a shotgun.
There's no solid back to that. How do they stay in there?
I don't know. Let's try it.
I don't want to try that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's definitely something we're not ever going to do on this podcast, is go to Canada and try to find interesting people.
We're not ever going to become walruses on this podcast.
I ain't
That's
trying
a
to be turned into a walrus. And then they find him, and he's just like sitting there yelling at them.
And she's like, his girlfriend's like fucking horrified.
And she's crying and shit. Yeah, I was like, why are you this sad? You were just talking about him cheating on you and shit.
Yeah, weren't you just going to Fuckville on his best friend?
Which I don't know if they did or not, because then in the beginning, or when in the scene where they wake up and find their phones, they're sleeping at opposite ends of the bed.
Well, I mean, you don't got to cuddle up to each other at night to...
But why would you sleep on opposite ends?
So you're saying he was just consoling her by staying
I think
there.
it was just a consoling thing. I don't think they were boning. Like, he was in the friend zone.
Yeah. He was trying to get to the bone zone.
He was trying to get out of the friend zone, which is possible.
Okay.
It takes a lot of work.
I've never tried to have sex with one of my friends, Matt.
Well, I mean, me either.
But you're saying it is possible.
I think it's possible.
Okay, well, maybe I'll try it on...
I don't feel like I've ever been totally stuck in the friend zone.
Maybe I'll try it on...
Solidly stuck in the friend zone.
Kent or something.
I feel like Kent's pretty easy. He's always trying to hook up with Cole.
They love each other.
But, alright, so they find him. And he's just like screaming at them and they're horrified. And then it jumps, like, it doesn't show them getting him out of the house or anything, which I was like, in that process, I was like, dude, how messed up is he gonna be after they, like, try to get him back to his human form?
Yes.
And they didn't even do it. They just stuck him in some, like, bum-ass, like, run-down animal exhibit.
They took him to the zoo.
It was pretty much the zoo. Like, they were just like, oh, he's too far gone.
Yeah.
He's full walrus now. He's not coming back.
Fucking sucks.
They brought him a piece of fish as like a way to get him out of his little hut that he's in. Oh, it was ridiculous. That movie was just so over the top. That, oh, God.
I thought it was great.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But it was just like, and the walrus skin that he was in, that was disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I told Paige. I was like, I'm really glad you didn't watch this one with me. You probably wouldn't have liked that very much.
Hannah didn't like it either.
Well, you can't even force Hannah to go see scary movies anyways. No. So I'm surprised she even watched that.
Yeah. Well, we watched it at home.
Still.
Yeah. But she didn't love it. I thought it was great. It went from a horror movie to like a dark comedy.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
So yeah, that's it. That's Tusk. I mean, I want to know what was going through Kevin Smith's mind when he wrote that.
That's what I was like. How the fuck do you come up with a movie like that? I don't know. I couldn't come up with that shit. I could not come up with it if I sat down and tried. I'm gonna think of a guy. Here's the good storyline. This crazy guy loves walruses, but he's actually a serial killer. He catches people and tries to turn them into walruses. Yeah. I don't know where that comes from.
And they're like, okay, so, all right,
yeah, that works.
How do you pitch that to, like, a studio or something?
Right.
You're like, look, we want to get investors. So you sit in front of the board of all these investors, and you're like, here's the premise. Walrus man. Fucking walrus man.
Crazy guy.
It's psycho. Walrus battles. Leg bone teeth. Yeah.
Let's mix a podcast into it.
Yeah. And they're like, fuck. This is it.
He's on to something.
This
guy's on to something.
This is going to be the next thing.
I feel like he probably pitched it to the same group that he pitched Yoga Hosers to.
Disney bought it, and they're like, let's make 9 fucking movies out of this.
I hope they don't make another one.
They won't. But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was funny. It was a great suggestion because it's a weird-ass movie.
It was really weird.
Also, the person that recommended The Jacket was Kendall Jackson. So, thank you for that.
Thanks.
It is appreciated. So, yeah, that's it. That was it for this week.
There's not a whole lot else to explain to tell. You just have to, you got to go see it for yourself.
Absolutely.
I would recommend that over The Jacket just because of how ridiculous it was.
Yeah, the Jacket was, I don't know. It wasn't, in my opinion, a bad movie, but it wasn't. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't even something really that was that great to even talk about on here. But
it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
There was too many plot holes for me to really get into it. It was too much question to everything. They didn't explain anything. Tusk, on the other hand, they did.
Yeah. Tusk was great. I recommend watching Tusk.
Go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime for rent, if you have Prime.
Yes.
It's not on Netflix, unfortunately.
Yep. please watch it. And when I said Kendall Jackson, I meant Aaron Jackson. I went to school with that kid. His name on Facebook right now is Kendall Jackson. So.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that, bud.
So, what's coming up?
I don't know yet. I really want to watch The Neverending Story at some point. I think we should watch Get Out at some point. We had a lot of really good suggestions too, so I think this week just keep your eyes open on the Facebook page, and we'll once we figure out what we're gonna watch, we'll go ahead and watch it. I don't think I'm gonna put another status up this week about suggestions because we got a lot of them in the last one.
Yeah, we'll just go off the last one. We'll exhaust some more of those. But
please, if you're listening to this, whether it's the first time or you're listening to the second episode, on iTunes, make sure you subscribe when you watch us. Again, we're Blockbusters and Bootlegs. Make sure you subscribe and give us a rating. If you liked it, please give us a rating. Any little bit will help. You can also catch us on Spreaker.com. And again, when you're there, just search Blockbusters and Bootlegs on that, and it'll pull the page up for the podcast.
It'll have the episodes on there. You can download them, or you can just stream them.
And we are working right now to get on other platforms, but that's a work in progress. So as we continue doing this, we advance our capabilities, we'll be able to do that. So
once we get the computer stuff figured out,
and give us a like on Facebook as well.
Give us a share on Facebook.
Absolutely,
spread the word if you like it. Especially let your friends know.
If you don't like it, tell us why you don't like it. You get on the Facebook page, talk a little shit.
Yeah, we want to read that.
Come our way and tell us how we're fucking up or why we suck, so we can fix it. Because we have no idea. To us, this shit's good. So
you're not gonna hurt our feelings.
No,
you can be brutally honest if you want to.
You might hurt my feelings. But you're not gonna hurt
Ryan might get his feelings a little hurt. But.
So thank you.
Definitely gonna go see Jurassic Park.
I'm going tonight.
I want to go. Oh, okay.
So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit next week.
Yeah. And like we mentioned last week, the new Purge movie. Mm-hmm. Definitely one.
Yeah, that's an up and coming one. Even though I didn't watch any of the others, so. But other than Anarchy, so I really hope I don't have to go back and watch all the other ones. But I probably will. So.
I hope you do.
I'm probably going to have to because I don't fully understand the story. But anyway, this is episode 2. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. Thanks for talking some shit with us. Maybe you laughed. Maybe you cried. Maybe you're never going to listen to it again. Either way, thanks for spending your time with us.
Yeah,
and
we won't
come
blame
and check
you
us out
if
later.
That's the case.
Yeah. So, this is Ryan Clary.
This is Matt Sims.
And have a good fucking week.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.